Happy to open the meeting of March 27th and call the meeting to order. We're going to do a reorganization momentarily, but we're going to start with a statement from Amy McMullen.
Hi, thank you everyone for letting me have just a moment at the beginning of the meeting. To the Mount Ascutney School District Board, after many, many hours of contemplation, I have decided it is in the best interest of our school district that I resign from the board as well as from the appointment as district clerk. After listening to Misty Booten, Molly Matson, Caitlin Gould, and Daniel Wartz voice their concerns, and then reading emails from Windsor Select Board members and reading Tara Howard's email aloud, I learned that people do not feel this was a fair and free election. My actions created a loss of trust from parents, teachers, staff, and other members of the community, and I believe that any actions of the board with me serving will be tainted by the outcome of the election. There's too much good work to be accomplished by the board, and there are enough challenges without me added to them. I want to thank the 255 individuals who voted for me, and I sincerely apologize for my poor judgment of being present at the polls at town meeting. I sincerely apologize to teachers and staff and any residents who were distressed or felt coerced by my presence. It has been an honor and a privilege serving on the Windsor School and Mount Ascutney School Boards these many years. I wish you all the very best as you move forward. You will do great things. Sincerely, Amy McMullen. And with that, I say goodbye and good night.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Amy,
Bye.
it's been an honor.
Thank you, Amy.
All right. Hi. Okay, so we are going to start our reorganization. Somebody has their sound on.
I do.
Thank
Say
you.
it loud before I join you.
So I am going to open up nominations for board chair, SU board chair.
I nominate Davis McGraw.
There a second?
I second.
Okay. Davis, do you accept the nomination?
Well, I really appreciate your confidence in me to be the chair of this board. I do not accept the recommendation at this time, but thank you very much for putting my name forward.
All right. On that note, are there any other nominations for board chair?
I nominate Bill Yates.
And a second from Mickey. Bill, do you accept the nomination?
I do, thank you.
Are there any other nominations? All right, then we're going to close nominations and we're going to vote on Bill Yates as board chair. And we'll do a roll call. I'll start with in the room. Elizabeth?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Vicki?
Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
Bill, you can vote for yourself.
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Anne Marie?
Aye.
I think that's everyone. So congratulations, Bill.
Thank
You
you.
get to take over now.
Oh, fun. Thank you, everybody, for that vote of confidence. See if I can find where my meetings are. Vice chair. Do I hear any nominations for vice chair?
Who's the current vice chair? Bill, you want to do vice chair? I nominate Anne Marie Redmond.
Mark?
I was going to nominate Colleen if she'd accept.
I would ask for a second for Anne Marie.
I'll second for Anne Marie.
Okay.
Goodman.
Uh,
I would second Colleen.
Okay.
We have some good candidates.
Yes, we do. Colleen, do you accept the nomination?
Anne-Marie, how are you feeling?
I
I
don't
do-
really have the time right now, so if you want to do it, I'd be glad to have you do it this year. Maybe next year I'll have time, but this year I'm kind of busy. I got kid going off to college next year, so trying to spend as much time with him as I can.
Okay, I accept.
Dave, do you accept your nomination? I take that as a no.
Having trouble hearing you.
Did you not hear me?
Yeah, the mic's coming and going a little bit.
Larry's here.
Anne Marie, do you accept that nomination? Or
No, thank you. I appreciate it, though. Thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you, Nikki.
are there any more nominations?
There's plenty of positions.
Hmm?
There's also plenty of positions.
I know. Okay, so let's do a roll call vote. Colleen?
Aye.
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Anne Marie?
I think I heard my name. Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Jamie? Did I see her?
I'm looking at the list. I don't see Jamie.
Elizabeth?
Aye, don't forget Nancy.
I'm kidding.
Did you say my name? I say aye.
Okay, Davis?
Aye.
And Rebecca?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Colleen Spence?
Congratulations, Colleen.
Congratulations.
That's Colleen.
Election of clerk of the board. Who is the clerk of the board?
I'm the clerk of the local board.
Right,
I could also be clerk of this board if you wanted to.
okay. I nominate.
David.
I second.
I accept.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, moving right along. All in favor of Davis as clerk of the board?
No, you have to do it. You have to do roll call, unfortunately.
I am, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, roll call. Elizabeth,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Davis. Rebecca. Mark,
Aye.
Henry,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Again, is Jamie here or is that as a confirmed no?
I did not see her. I'll check again.
Okay.
Still on the list.
No, she's not here, Bill.
Thank you.
Yep.
Election of treasurer. I think, is that Nancy?
Yeah.
That's on our board.
Yeah, okay.
She shook her head looking at me.
Does anyone remember who treasurer was?
Was it Colleen? No.
I mean, not that I remember. I didn't do any treasurer tasks that I know of.
Yeah, you were co-signer of the manifest, I think.
Yeah. Which I also didn't do.
Nominate Beth Roy.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Do you accept the nomination, Beth?
What do they do? Like, is it purely ceremonial?
Not really.
Oh,
There's-
wait, I was treasurer.
Then I nominate Nikki. What do you do? Like, I don't even know. So that's.
One thing that I had to do, and it didn't happen successfully.
It's not a good campaign.
Yeah, no, your name is on the bank records, and so if they have to switch, like, you have to switch banks.
I can't hear you, Nikki. Your name is on the what?
Bank account, and so I had to visit the bank.
Yeah.
That was the extent of it, once.
I vote for the ease of less paperwork, that Nikki just stays treasurer.
Really easy.
Yeah. It's not a time-consuming job.
No, and it is, because I did have to get approved and signed on everything.
Yeah. It is a pain to go to the bank and get everything switched over.
So no, I'm going to nominate Nikki.
I second the Nikki nomination,
I'll accept.
if she's willing.
Okay.
really big roll.
Roll call voting. I vote aye. Colleen?
Aye.
Aye.
Was that me?
Anne Marie.
Oh,
I can't hear you guys at all.
It keeps kind of going in and out.
Put it in the
Okay,
middle
Mark?
so we can yell at it.
Aye.
Nancy?
aye.
Now we've lost them. Now the owl's just frozen.
Yeah, there was a couple wires came unplugged, but we are all still here, I assure you. It's
Nikki
coming back
unplugged it
on.
twice.
I'll second.
Nancy?
We can hear you, but it's pretty faint.
It's the air handler. All right.
So Nancy, you've been nominated for Assistant Treasurer.
Wow, when did that happen? Okay. Thank you.
Through while we went out.
Okay.
I think you already were Assistant Treasurer.
Oh, good. And I didn't do anything at that bank, but I am signed up for some banks, so maybe that's all right.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote. Anne Marie?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
You gotta be patient with me. Dyslexia is a horrible disease.
Okay. Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Davis? Rebecca? I vote aye. Colleen?
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
And that's everybody. Let me highlight Jamie.
What list, just go off the list in the meeting. If you just go off the list in the meeting.
I'm not logged in.
Oh.
I'm going full on that.
Jamie's in the meeting now.
Oh, Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
Election of signer of the manifest.
Nancy was definitely a signer of the manifest. I think you were too. I think I was an assistant, but I thought you were.
I am.
Okay. Yeah, I'm an assistant can do exactly nothing.
Yes. So if anybody wants to nominate me.
I nominate Bill Yates to sign the manifest.
I'll second.
And this is all together. Yeah, kind of the manager time two. So we want to.
I nominate Rebecca to be the second.
Second,
I,
okay. Roll call vote.
What was the first nomination? Sorry. Okay. Ready? Aye.
Okay. Rebecca. Davis. Nancy.
Aye.
Jamie.
Aye.
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 Cole.
Aye.
Beth.
Aye.
Colleen.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Election of budget committee members.
I nominate Rebecca.
well, I think there were three of us, one from each town. So it was, me, Colleen, and Jamie. I think.
That's right. Yeah, there
Is that correct? There should be three, one from each town.
I nominate all three.
Second.
And they are?
Rebecca, Jamie, and Colleen.
Okay. So we have a nomination of the three members and a second. Jamie.
Aye.
Elizabeth.
Aye.
Nancy.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Rebecca.
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Anne Marie.
Aye.
Beth.
Aye.
Colleen.
Aye.
Nicole.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Okay, what else we have left here? Designation of official newspapers. I'm not real keen on the Vermont Standard, but hey.
I think so. It's been Vermont Standard, Valley News, Eagle Times. Is that correct? Those
Yep.
three newspapers. And then was there some commentary that we don't need to designate websites
Yeah, I think so.
or something like that? So we can just do those three again,
Okay.
Second.
What were they?
unless we're missing anything. Elizabeth might know if we're missing
Eagle,
anything.
Standard, and Valley News.
Is that those three, Elizabeth?
Sorry?
Papers of record, Eagle Times, Valley News, Vermont Standard?
Yeah.
Cool. And we don't need to do websites. That was figured out last time.
Okay.
We haven't heard back from JPSL.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the Standard, Eagle Times, Valley News, I don't know if you call a nomination in a second, but let's move on. Okay, Colleen,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Anne Marie,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Nancy,
Aye.
Rebecca,
I,
Davis,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
Nicole.
Aye.
I think I got everybody. It's gonna take some practice.
You're doing great.
Don't faint.
You're almost there.
Yes. Establishment of meeting day, time and place.
I say 6:30 on the fourth Monday.
that's what
Here.
it is now.
Second.
One question that I have is, I think that last year we had, and I don't know if we decided, if we talked about rotating the SU meeting between different school sites. I mean, I think that could be kind of nice to visit different buildings. I know it may not be the most convenient for everyone, but
The problem is, the real problem is that we can't do a hybrid meeting when we rotate between buildings.
got it. And is there no desire to go back to the SU space?
But why not? Just because the owl's affordable?
Yeah.
We'd have to make it in the owl at the designated school.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's gonna cause an accessibility issue, I mean, I get it. And there's not a desire to go back to the SU boardroom,
The central
Yeah,
office.
central office, yeah.
why are we not at the central office?
I don't know, maybe because we don't want people to hear us.
I mean, you can hear better over there.
Oh,
It's a
that,
smaller space.
yes,
Not in there.
But
There's
there's no
I'm
air-
agreeing with you,
There's no
yes.
air handler in the central office,
Yeah.
conference room.
That's
And it's smaller and, I think we've been averaging at most 4 or 5 public members in person. That can easily
There's
handle
no
it.
space there. I think that was the peak, 4 or 5.
Yeah,
Not the average.
the only drawback is, getting locked out of the building.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah,
But then-
the one
but we
meeting I
haven't
had to
had
throw
Christine.
snowballs.
Yeah, I was gonna
We
say,
have
we just
copies
throw
there.
snowballs at the window.
Yeah.
We all know which window it is.
I'm pretty amenable to either. I just know that it's,
season.
yeah.
Right. Leaves.
Can we
Climb the
just
tree.
set the date and the time and maybe experiment on the location? We would have to,
Could we just do an either or?
yes.
And that way we'll
210
just post
or,
it.
okay, yeah.
We would definitely have to warn it
Uh-huh.
in which location we're gonna do. But, I think it would be good to try it out to see if, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
And there's no, that's the date and time, and if we decide this summer at our retreat that we don't necessarily have to meet as an SU board every month, but we create a schedule that works, is that okay? We designate.
Yes, we can change this.
Yes.
This is the initial
Yeah, this is just,
proposal. Okay, great.
okay.
We need to vote on it though.
Yes, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Okay, we are voting on the date and the time, 4th Monday, either at this location or the SU office. And we're gonna start with.
I think we
Rebecca.
also need to say that it's hybrid as well.
And it's hybrid. Rebecca,
Aye.
Davis,
aye.
Nicole,
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Nancy,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Anne Marie,
Aye.
Beth,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
and I vote aye.
And just to confirm, the air handler is off now. Is everyone able to hear us clearly online at the moment? Awesome.
Over my coffee.
It still is going in and out though. Occasionally it does still get hard for me to hear, but I've got to go anyway, so I will see you guys later. Thank you.
One in and out for one person is likely that person.
Yep. Any changes to the agenda?
I have a change to the agenda.
Okay.
Because Amy McMullen has left us, she was the person we nominated to negotiate the superintendent contract, and that has not been completed. So change to the action item would be to for a board resolution on appointing a new person to handle that contract.
Does anyone object to putting it first on the list?
Huh?
Okay. Okay. Are there any other changes? Approval of minutes, February 27th, 2023.
So moved.
Are there any comments or discussion? I'd like to say they're very concise. And I assume we have to do a roll call. Colleen? Ann?
Aye.
Well, not a second, when we get to public. Beth?
Aye.
Anne Marie?
She had to leave.
Mark?
Aye.
Thank you. Jamie?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Rebecca? Nicole? Aye. Davis? Aye. Elizabeth? Aye. And I am an aye. Public participation. Public comment is not legally required, but we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns over issues. Through these meetings, our board models for our students how to conduct public discourse, and that the board and members of our community can approach controversial issues in a civil and constructive manner and can demonstrate mutual respect. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. Public comment period is not designated for discussion. Please start by identifying yourself and what town you reside in. Helen?
I have a question though, quick, before we dive into public comment. I was just looking at the agenda and we have 7 policies to review under discussion in 20 minutes. That doesn't seem like a possibility. So I propose that we maybe take 3 off or something like that, so we can have we're not here till midnight. I don't know if that's an option.
Only one's first reading.
Yeah, most of them were second and third.
Yeah.
There's only 3 in the items for action though.
Right.
I have no quandary with it. What if we propose to go down the list and set a timer at 20 minutes? And when we hit 20 minutes, then we move on to items for action.
Starting with.
That sounds brilliant.
I like it.
I'll volunteer to be the timer. You don't have to-
Start with the third readings.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the second. So that one.
Thanks for allowing my interruption.
Anytime. There was a great suggestion. Ellen. Here, Ellen?
This is Helen. Can you hear me? Okay, I can hear nothing.
I can hear you, Helen.
And I want to know how I can see everything, but I cannot hear a thing at this meeting.
It's your computer, so. Helen, can you hear me?
No, maybe her sound.
No,
Yeah.
I can't hear you. I can see you, and I've had closed caption on, so I can see a representation of what people are saying, but it's obviously not clear
Can you
because closed caption doesn't represent what you're
can't.
actually saying. I cannot hear you.
Could she bounce it back out and come back in?
Maybe if she's unmuted.
Accept
She can't hear
sound,
me.
right?
She has to turn on the sound. Yeah, it depends on her computer, right? So,
I've unmuted myself.
no, we can hear you. So go ahead and speak.
Good. That's what I wanted to say. I would really like to hear what's going on at these meetings, and there's no way that I can.
Come on in person.
Well, she could go out and, she might.
Can you
But
go out and
she
come back?
can't hear us. I guess
She's got a closed caption.
Can you, let me put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, not available.
Can we turn it on?
Jennifer,
Usually off.
Jennifer, can you hear us?
I am online and I can hear everybody, though sometimes it gets a little quiet when some people speak.
Helen, can you log off?
Yeah, I think this is a problem with Teams. And other people who don't normally use Teams. Yeah, I'll log off. Bye.
Teams might be interfering with me, but we don't use Teams.
I've been in meetings with her and they use Teams at the town, Heartland Town.
Okay.
Uses Teams.
Are there any other public comment?
I don't usually have any problem with listening to any other committee or whatever in the town, except for anything that has to do with the schools or something like this.
Google Meet using,
I don't know, this is really irritating. Goodbye.
no, tell her to make sure she's using the Google Assistant.
From Helen's input, I get the feeling that her public comment was really wanting to hear what's going on.
Yeah.
I think it was an end user issue though.
Yes.
Because everybody else seems to be
Yes.
here.
Are there any public comments? Are there anybody else online who has a public comment?
Make a house meeting.
Okay, administrative report.
Okay, we're gonna start with, we have a guest here, Tesha, is here to give the legislative update. So
Representative
Representative Bus, yes, thank you.
She's online.
She's
Yeah.
online. She
Okay,
agreed
great.
to do a legislative report. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you for being here, Tasha.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I am new to the legislature this year and obviously new then to the education committee. So I've been learning a lot really fast. This bill covers a few different items. This is H483 that we're all talking about, I'm sure. It starts out, I do want to give just a tiny bit of a background, which is that, of course, the independent schools have been working on what's called the 2200 rules. And those rules covered many things, except for the 4 provisions that we put in place in this bill for enrollment. And I do want to be clear that the IEPs and anyone on 504s or kids with disabilities are covered under different acts. A lot of folks have asked me if this bill addresses that, and it does not, because we already have acts in place to cover those children. So what we're talking about in this bill are our general education kids folks that don't have IEPs, folks that don't have a lot of special concessions or need extra time with things. So we start out by having, we decided to do a moratorium on any new independent schools applying, but any independent school that's already in process is perfectly fine. They can continue their process. And the main reason for doing that is that we have over 340 public schools and we have over 100 independent schools throughout the state of Vermont. And we have a lot of money going in a lot of different directions, which is rarely efficient for one entity to put all of that money in many different directions. That means 460 plus buildings to maintain and such. And so I have strong concerns about our dual education system and its financial viability. So I look at it not from just every town's individual perspective, but I'm trying to see it from the perspective of the state, managing the purse that from which all of us get the money to educate our kids. The next part is that we decided to tighten the geographical boundaries. And the reason why we put in 25 miles is, well, we're not positive. We did not get out a measurement tool to ensure that everyone that we have typically engaged with in New Hampshire, New York, and Massachusetts is within 25 miles, but most of them are. That's a pretty typical border for us to do. If you're right on that border, then we wanted to make sure that those relationships stayed intact. But having kids go to, Connecticut or down to New York City, we're Vermonters, and getting close to the edge of the state's okay, but getting far out of the state, we didn't feel was a great decision for the use of public funds. And so then we get down to the enrollment provisions. We really wanted this to be kids' choice and not the schools choosing for us. And the reason we put in that kids were not supposed to be mandated to be tested to get into any school that receives public dollars, that their academic history would not be requested, they wouldn't be mandated to do site visits, and that they wouldn't be required to demonstrate that they had the ability to pay the extra fees. That does not mean that the child cannot reach out and the family to any independent school and promote who they are and why they think that school is a great fit for them. We wanted that to be initiated by the kid, by the family, and have that be where the choice lies. So those are the general provisions of the bill, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Rebecca?
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Tasha. One of the questions I had was, has the bill really changed much other than the 25-mile limit, plus kids cannot, you cannot admit based on your own criteria, which it sounds like some schools were basically, they had their own criteria, and that's how they were accepting students. Was that not in the prior agreement? And are these two new pieces to the agreement that 483 is moving forward with?
Yes, these are brand new provisions, the 25 miles, and then the 4 provisions of not requiring a school not being able to require tests to prove financial viability for the extra fees to go to that independent school, academic history, and site visits. Other than that, nothing changes. And like I said, they can be initiated by the student. The student can go visit the school. The student can provide their academic record. The student can say, we have the family can say we have the financial means. But to not require it means that then every family that's applying doesn't have to feel potentially disenfranchised from going to that school. That was the goal.
Elizabeth Daniels? Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Apologies, I was having trouble getting off of mute. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Do you mind introducing yourself and what town you live in?
Sure. I'm Elizabeth Daniels. My family, we are residents of Heartland, and we have a son currently enrolled as a freshman at the Putney School under town tuitioning.
Yes.
My question for Representative Buss is whether the committee considered the effects of this bill on students currently enrolled under town tuitioning, and if so, is there a reason why they aren't grandfathered, or there's no grandfathering provision in the bill?
We didn't believe we needed to have a grandfathering position in the bill because we're not dictating that anybody who currently is enrolled would be unenrolled the following year. There are plenty of potentially other enrollment criteria that any school could use. We only put those 4 in because we felt that those 4 were discriminatory against all basic students and walks of life. But schools will have to figure out once they reach capacity how to choose, for sure. There will be some method of discerning children. We just put in these 4 specific and explicit examples.
I have a follow-up question, sort of piggybacking off Elizabeth Daniels' question. So hypothetically, a student is enrolled in an independent school, and then so next year, they wouldn't have to apply again under this bill.
I do not know what every single independent school's rules are for their enrollment process. And schools vary widely, and there's over 100 of them to monitor and measure. So I do not know the answer to that question, but we're not saying that we have, that we're providing jurisdiction over the entire process. So if a school has a policy regarding a sibling, if a school has a policy regarding enrollment rolls from one year to the next, and if you start as a freshman, you're inherently enrolled all the way through your senior year, we did not, this bill does not control any of those parameters or choices that that independent school has. But when a new person, or when you're going to enroll, they can't ask you those 4 questions, but they can ask you many other things, and they can have many other enrollment criteria.
I was just trying to think of a situation in which Elizabeth brought up, in which a student who currently goes, for example, to Burton, how this law would keep them from going the next year. I couldn't see it, so.
May I clarify the question?
Sure.
Thank you. My understanding is this bill governs an institution or independent school's ability to receive or participate in town tuitioning, not whether a student could continue. And we've been advised already by the Putney School that this bill's provisions are so onerous, they will not participate in town tuitioning if it passes.
There are some reporting requirements in this bill that, which is an attestation form that has not been created by our committee, but is to be created in conjunction with the Agency of Education in the private schools and the independent schools, which is an attestation form regarding discrimination. So you would have to do a test that you do not discriminate on the basis of, the general social classes, and that you practice fair employment protections for your employees. But it should be a 1 or 2 page attestation. It should not be particularly onerous. As for the enrollment criteria, there's no, I'm not for sure that will even be included in that attestation form, that you are complying with the 4 enrollment criteria. But if it is, it would be a checkoff of these 4 boxes that you didn't put that into your enrollment criteria. But again, it's not a limitation of your enrollment criteria. It's only the in the aggregate or in the overall, it's just those 4 provisions. So we're not stopping town tuitioning. I'm not for sure if I answered your question or if you have any follow-ups.
Elizabeth Burrows. Sorry, I didn't see your hand.
That's okay. I'm just waiting to see whether Elizabeth Daniels has any follow-up.
I think for the purpose of this meeting, I'm done. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Has the committee dropped the part about attendance? And if not, can you explain that?
Thank you. I did. I'm sorry. I failed to mention attendance records, which that is supposed to be determined as well by the independent schools and the AOE. They told us not to be particularly prescriptive because everybody calculates attendance at different time intervals. Some people take attendance and put it into a report on a weekly basis. Some do that on a longer basis. And so we removed any prescription about how it should look, but it's important for the sending school who would ultimately be responsible for that child to know if they have been missing an inordinately long amount of school.
Thank you. That I think that's important for board members to understand because we are ultimately responsible for those students. So thank you.
So Tessa, clarifying question. Do you mean sending districts?
Sending districts, excuse me. Yes. Like I said, I'm new to this education world, so you guys have the lingo down, and sometimes, sometimes I'm still working on that on week 9.
Full background, Tasha. I am a Hartford School District Data Administrator, so.
Okay.
And
He knows the lingo.
I know the
You
lingo.
know the lingo, and thank you for all you do.
You got another hand up there.
Is it
My YouTube.
my YouTube? M.
Oh, I think that's me, Jill Crowley. My question is whether or not your board committee has heard from any of the independent schools that are going to be affected by this and what their reaction is, whether they would continue. Are any of them planning on dropping out of the tuitioning?
We have not heard explicitly from independent schools saying that they will drop out of the program.
Are there any other questions from board members or?
I mean, I'm only one member of the committee. I should not speak for every single member of the committee. Chair Conlon may have a different email inbox than I do, that's for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My YouTube, do you mind saying your name again?
Jill Crowley. I live in West Windsor. I guess I'm just concerned that even the 25-mile radius thing, that we keep taking away opportunities from students. Trying to keep it local, I guess.
Well, we do have to be responsible for our state and our taxpayers within our state. And there are varying opinions, that is for sure, throughout the state regarding money going out of the state and kids being educated out of the state. There are issues too that we don't, when a child goes out of state, we don't know what their discrimination policies are. We don't know how they handle IEPs. and 504 plans and other types of academic accommodations. But in terms of the public purse, it gets really challenging to send more and more money out of state, looking at the system as a whole. And so
But our
that's-
private schools within state, don't they accept students from out of state?
if they accept them from out of state, it doesn't offset anything that the taxpayers contribute. It only contributes to that specific independent school.
So Tasha, to qualify, 25 miles, that's from the Vermont border.
That's correct, from the border.
So if you're a Heartland student, you can go to any independent school in the state of Vermont and any school 25 miles within the border of Vermont. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Davis?
While receiving funding from your home district.
That's right.
An important qualifier.
Yes.
Because you can,
Yes.
if you have independent funding, you can send a student anywhere in the country or the world, but
Right.
this has to do with receiving state dollars.
Yes.
That's correct. It's really the public purse that we're concerned about in the committee. It is education is a massive part of how each Vermonter contributes in the state. And education is a right in our Constitution. And the concern is that because it is a right, it should not be something that you have to then qualify for when you're paid for with those public dollars. It's almost as if you're conditioning a person's constitutional right by saying, no, not this school. You got to go to this school. Or a lot of independent schools choose who is the right fit. And the challenge we have when we look overall is that if all the schools continue having their choice, well, they're not going to choose the students that are the most expensive to educate, that's for sure. And the number of kids that require specialized services, that require that extra funding, are increasing in the public school system and decreasing in the independent school system. And so it is becoming imbalanced. And that is also a concern looking towards the fact that it seems that more and more students are requiring assistance in a lot of ways. And I don't know if it's, COVID that's brought this on, but, and I'm so new to the education committee, I can't speak to a lengthy history.
Thank you. Beth?
Hi, thanks. And so the provision that a district would have to choose like 4 schools to send their students to, is that been removed from the current situation?
No.
So
That's a different bill.
that's a different bill. Okay, sorry, my bills are crossing.
Yeah.
We understand.
Bills are like streams, don't cross the streams.
Yeah.
Nancy?
Thank you.
What is the amount that the state for next year would send to the independent school? I know it's not the entire tuition.
Well, the tuition rate will be set, but Elizabeth, clarify me if I am missing something, but the town meetings, the towns just passed all of their budgets. And so I don't believe we have that specific average tuition rate set yet.
Is the allowable tuition rate,
Yeah, well, yes.
and it is not set yet for next year.
I can give you a ballpark.
Yes.
It's like $18,000. I think it's like $18,000, but it has not yet been set yet for next year. So, and Tasha, can you talk about, or Rep Bus, sorry, could you please, has the tuition itself part remained in the bill about the not being able to charge above the allowable tuition rate?
That is still in the bill, that you cannot charge above the allowable tuition rate. No, you cannot go below the average tuition rate. So when you have public school, when you have public dollars, when you have a public dollar kid and a private dollar kid next to each other, the private dollar kid cannot pay less to go to the school than the public dollar kid.
Right. But wasn't there something about not being able to charge public kids beyond the allowable rate? I might be getting that mixed up with another bill, and if I am, I apologize.
So if the rate is less than the allowable rate, then wasn't that it? You can't charge the allowable rate, you have to stay with the actual tuition?
It refers to academic fees. You can't charge academic fees beyond the state average tuition.
Okay, thank you.
Which, if I could just clarify too, as of right now, the allowable or state average tuition rate is less than, say, for Heartland, what the state would pay if a child chose to go to Woodstock, Hartford, or Hanover. It's actually more to go to those schools than to take town tuitioning and take the state average to go to Sharon Academy or Putney, for example.
Yeah.
The state pays less.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, thank you. Well, Tasha, I thank you for visiting us.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Tasha, can you quickly touch on some of the other bills that are in House Ed?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the bills that is in House Ed refers to the PCB concern in schools and how that aligns with school construction. And so as we heard a significant amount about how PCBs were brought online, the science is a bit in question. So the EPA has a PCB level for soils, but it doesn't have a way to monitor PCB levels in the air quality. So the state of Vermont has taken on creating a level for air quality. And in doing so, when they first announced this program and started testing schools, it was an extremely strict method. And Burlington High School tested extremely high. Now, for some strange reason, other schools in Burlington that were built by the exact same developer in and around the exact same time frame are testing at much less intense levels, like significantly less. In fact, only parts of their building would need abatement or mitigation in their current state. And none of us exactly knows why that is the case. But we're also, as we've heard feedback and testimony, a school will come in and they'll serve, over the age gap. And so they have a hard time explaining why the 5th graders can't use the gym, but the 8th graders can use the gym because they're old enough, and then the air quality changes. And it's been really challenging. And we also question whether or not it is the public health emergency that we were told that it was right at the beginning, because they can't even particularly qualify even 6 and 1 million as definitively harmed by PCBs. So it's really, we definitely want to take it seriously. And we also want to make sure that we're taking the role of rolling out public construction projects in school to mitigate or abate in a real proper and handled fashion, both from a construction perspective and making sure that the construction does not disrupt a child's ability to attend school, and also that we manage our funds in a responsible manner. So what one bill does is there'll be a task force that will create a commission that will manage school construction. And that task force will also have a scientist on it that will help the task force discover if these current levels for measuring PCBs are accurate, if they could be less, if they could be more relaxed. And then if we can continue the construction, if we can continue the testing, like in a perfect world, we would have our construction happening at the same time as our testing. We would know, oh, the gym and the school, we need a new roof anyway. So, that's where the PCBs are. So let's put our money there. Instead, we could be looking at, oh, the inside of the roof of the school has PCBs, and it's going to cost us $3 million to do the interior of the roof, only to find out, or we do the exterior of the roof, only to find out that the interior is what has the PCBs. If you know what I'm saying, we're trying to make an alignment so that we put good money in a good plan.
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Is the education committee doing this in part in response to the EPA's, what the EPA said last week or the week before about PCBs and in the possibility of the federal government coming through with mitigation funding?
No, we started this prior to receiving any of that information. We wanted to make sure that if we are responsible for it, we have 32 million put away and 16 million of it is going to one school.
Oh.
And we have 340 plus to go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions for Tasha?
Just, Tasha, can you give us a quick update on universal meals?
So universal school meals passed out of the House this past week, and it will be headed over to the Senate. And the testimony was really striking and extraordinary for universal school meals. I was extremely impressed with everyone that came to our committee in how they spoke about kids eating more healthy food, a better culture in the lunchroom, people getting through the line in a faster fashion because you don't have to swipe cards or pay for meals, and academic performance improving.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
It's good news.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And, it really corresponds to the program. There's a farm incentive program where the more of a percentage that you use of local food, you get, either 15 or 20 or 25 cents back per child. And with universal school meals, it seemed that there was an uptick in schools participating in that program, which is definitely what we want to support. Vermonters supporting Vermonters.
I have one follow-up question on that. Is there any plans to expand direct certification of federally qualified students? Because one thing I saw in my own data is the fact that our application levels dropped significantly. And so many things are tied to that federal qualified meals, not just feeding children, but Title I, other federal grants applications.
So it will be based off of Medicare qualifications. So they'll use the Medicare form for the child, and the free and reduced lunch application will go away. Mostly because not only did everyone, there was a drop, but not everybody was even using it prior to that anyway. So that we needed a better system.
Good, good.
Perfect, thank you. Any other quick questions?
Oh, just thank you.
Yes, thank you, Tasha. That was an
Bus.
amazing
Yeah.
presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank
So much. I am happy to come back at any time. I would love to visit. Because I'm new to this, and so I'd love to check everybody out.
And I should add that Tasha represents Woodstock.
Yes.
So that's why we invited her to come. She is the new John Harrison,
Yes.
being the new ed committee person for our area. So
Great.
thank you, Rep Bus.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Rebecca, do you have something you wanted to say real quick?
No, I figure if she's representing Woodstock, that when there are changes in the bill, we'll probably hear about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I'm
Thank
gonna,
you.
Katie,
I've got a little more to my report, is that okay?
Oh,
But I'll go really fast.
absolutely.
Okay, sorry about that. I will, I try to keep it short tonight, but there are a couple things. There we go. All right.
Thank you for letting her have the
Yeah,
time
she's
to.
great. Make that bigger, hold on a second, sorry. Right, I will be quick, because I know Katie has most of the time tonight for the admin report, but I couldn't not just share a couple of great things that you probably already heard about, but there is our school board rep Hudson, who brought his bill to the legislature. It's very exciting. Any updates on that, Elizabeth? Do you have any insight?
Well, we actually should have asked Rep. Buss about that, why they haven't taken it up, but they have not taken it up.
Okay, all right. And there is our championship basketball team, which I don't know if you saw the game, but it was a nail biter and they won in the end. It was very exciting, so kudos. I don't know if any of you were able to attend. We had two awesome performances this weekend, one at Weathersfield, which was The Little Mermaid, and we had one at Heartland, which was Matilda. They were very different, but both quite amazing, and the kids did a great job, and thank you to all the adults who were involved in making this happen. Very, very, very good place. So we're excited that we're able to do performances again. We had a professional development day on March 17th, and just in conjunction with what we're trying to do, offering voice and choice, we did offer lots of different sessions for staff to sign up for training in. We did start with a whole group presentation that the Wellness Committee planned on managing stress and trauma, which was a great session. And then we had sessions on restorative practices, trauma-informed instruction, Cognia training, which is going to replace SBAC. So staff got the best training they could get from Brittany with the information she has so far. So we're just gonna do it, and it's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun. Here she is. She's our testing coordinator. We are testing during the last week in April and throughout May, and you'll start to see that in newsletters. And Brittany did a great job training those staff. This is John Broderick, Senior Director of External Affairs at Dartmouth Health, and he formerly served as Chief Justice of the New Hampshire Supreme Court. He's been on a tour. He speaks to groups for free. So he is coming to Windsor on April 17th. He will do a presentation for middle level and high school kids during the day, and then a community presentation in the evening at 6 o'clock in the theater here. And it's really about destigmatizing mental health. His son suffered, and so you're all welcome to come. And that will be publicized in newsletters.
Would we be able to come to the daytime?
Sure, yeah,
Okay, well, he's presenting to students.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick update on equity audit. The information gathering part is complete. Insight is currently working on the report. I have a meeting with one of the consultants next week. And then we're going to work with Mary Gannon and Insight on steps for rolling out that information. We feel strongly we should share it with staff first, and then figure out a plan for the board and community. So that's coming. COVID numbers are there, just as an FYI. We feel like we're still seeing it, but managing. And this is follow-up from a meeting, it seems like forever ago, but there was a question asked about staff being able to bring their own children to school as a benefit to help retain the workforce. There was a question about ADM, and the answer is, right under the statute, ADM is based on resident students, so we would not be able to claim ADM from a staff member that did not live in our district. So I did also ask about the possibility for employees who live within a town in WSESU, if that would be allowable. So if you were a resident of Weathersfield, but you worked in Heartland, could you bring your child to Heartland with you? And the lawyer said it could still raise a claim of unfair practice, but it would be less complicated than for an employee who does not, who lives outside the SU. So that is the board's decision to consider and make. And we can certainly put it on the next month's agenda. You can think about that. Yes,
I
Rebecca.
just wanted to know, Christine, how many teachers do you have requesting that option? Just a round figure.
I don't, not that many. It was, we had more from outside, to be honest, the supervisory union. Yes, David.
Just to clarify on the statute out there, when it says the district capital, is that referring to supervisory union or individual school
The town,
districts? The town.
the district,
Okay.
the school, yeah.
Got it.
Yep. So I will to next month's agenda. We can talk about it. Is that okay? All right. Just let you know, the upcoming board trainings, if anybody's interested. I did want to let you know that I reached out to the VSBA and asked if Hudson could attend the first year journey on the school board trainings, and he is registered and attending. Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes, so he's excited as well. And then questions, if there aren't, if there are, I'll take them.
I just have one, and that's regarding the middle school intervention that was proposed some time ago. A forum for middle school, for parents, for.
Oh, the parent circles?
Yeah, the parent circles. I just wanted.
Yes, we had the first meeting,
Mhm.
and we didn't have any parents attend. So it was myself and Mima from Mount Scottney, and we had a lovely chat about our own children. It was actually a nice meeting. And so we thought what we would do next is we would have this meeting with, we would offer this John Broderick presentation as kind of a starting point maybe, and take it up again and see if we can get people to be interested. Yeah.
Not to get too deep in the weeds, but how are we publicizing the availability of the parent circles? And is there more that we could, if we're not reaching the audience, it may just be that there's not as much interest as we thought or would hope, but if there's any other, you know.
We did an initial survey went out, and we had, I think, 16 people that thought it was a great idea and expressed some interest.
Okay.
So we followed up with, we're gonna have this time to come together to just talk about like what kind of things would you want to talk about at the first circle? And we didn't get any participation that time. I believe I put that in my newsletter with a link, but we can certainly.
Thank you.
As a way to outreach.
Cool.
And that would include Heartland with this? Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay. Hello.
Oh, thank you. Helen, do you have a quick question before we move on? Helen,
Excuse me, I'm on a school board meeting. I am on Zoom, and I cannot talk to you now.
Helen?
She's all in the computer.
Yeah, she said she thought she fixed it, but.
She did.
Katie?
Okay, I figured while we were fixing, I just would get my screen going. Thank you, everybody. So I'll try to navigate this. Student Support Services this year, where we are and where we are going. So there's some pretty good warm and fuzzies in here, as well as some updates to where we are according to the AOE. We just received our child count numbers, and for those of you who are not aware, every July, as of July 1 and as of December 1st every year, we verify the numbers of students we have identified on IEPs. This is this year's current breakdown. 264 students, which does include our early ed students, which does seem to be upticking every year. Last year we were 255. the previous 2 years, I couldn't find the numbers right off the top of my head as I was making the report to include pre-K, but we've roughly been hovering between 18 and 20 the past few years. We are going to end this year with over 30 students in early childhood. But then some will go to kindergarten and then we kind of reset. It's so that, but we are seeing by the end of each year, which doesn't reflect in our data because we move those kids on to the kindergarten age by the July 1, that we are seeing those numbers go up, which is great in a way because we have a lot of, as you know, early childhood supports that we've put in place and a super strong team. We have a bubble. Notice between third, fourth, and fifth grade, there's a bubble. And then we have a little bit lower. And all of the students, these are all students, I want to be clear, in all placements. High school, school choice, as well as any students who are placed through special education, which right now I think we're exactly at 8. So we'll have a bubble graduating, but 9th grade's looking pretty big right now. And that number may go up a bit because of any incoming students coming in. So 10th grade may be even larger of a bubble. So we're working on planning for that next year. Highlights, it was choose kind of things that were going on. So I wanted to highlight a few things that I've brought up at board meetings before. One, the Dino Classroom at HES. And that is the program we're working with students who needed more of an ABA intensive approach. And the great thing is plans have worked, an amazing staff in that classroom, and we are moving towards full inclusion in classrooms next year. They're already started with pretty cool stuff. And I have to say it's a little awesome to watch pictures of winter activities from HES and all of the students included in everything, including bowling, which I have to say has got to be the loudest sport to join. So the staff there they work themselves out of a classroom, which is kind of our job, which is really cool. The ACE classrooms here, which is our community-based life skills group of students, many of which are also, which I ran out of space, so I'll just say it, have been choosing and electing to go to classes in the middle school and the high school, really reintegrating because that makes sense for their plans and advocating for themselves, which is pretty cool. With and without support, which is also great. They have, under the guidance of the staff, in working in the classrooms, those classrooms, hosted lunches for Unified Arts. That was this fall. That was in this room. Food service staff, they hosted food for them and helped with their job, with the food service staff doing their job during the day. And then just this week, they cooked a wonderful meal with a seriously mile-high chocolate cake with peanut butter frosting for the custodial staff. We didn't get pictures of that one, which I happened to walk in after the cake was mostly consumed and they were kicking themselves for not taking pictures. But it's pretty cool to see and the students appreciating all of the people that work with all of us and recognizing. And I know we all do little things all the time, but it meant a lot. And I happened to be up there when one of the custodial staff was sharing how much it meant to them. It was really nice to see how the kids took that compliment as well. You've heard me say it before, and it's kind of being our mantra these days, all staff, all students. We're embracing that belief, and it's not just because of Act 173. We've been doing this for a while. Some things that are taking a little getting used to because we don't have a separate system. Shared leadership and supervision of all staff. I meet with all of the principals. We work together with all the teaching staff, all the support staff to figure out who's the best kind of fit, how we each can help each other out. Staff and student pairings are made with the best fit in mind, not the funding sources. So there may be locally funded folks that are working with one particular child who may be a student who's on an IEP or a 504 versus somebody who's SU funded working with students that may not be necessarily identified. The one exception is if it's someone who's grant funded through IDB, we have rules on that. But that has worked really well so that we're looking for, again, the kind of the best fit for students and staff. We're continuing to grow in our universal design practices and differentiated instruction. I think that's something that it's kind of fun to start and look at how we're going to embed those even more. and have students involved in those discussions, what they need. Next, so there are a couple, I have to highlight this just because this was also this winter. We hooked up with Vermont Adaptive Ski and Sports up at Pico. We had 8 students learn to be the rider ski over the course of 6 weeks. I have to give a shout out to Mr. S, Miss Barb Thomas, and Miss Callista, who teamed up with us to drive there, get the kids there, keep them wrangled, keep them hydrated, walk back and forth. Mr. S, you'll see in a second, helped with the actual ski instruction with us. I also happen to be an instructor with them. That's my weekend fun volunteering. And it was amazing, from seeing kids who hesitate to do anything new, from trying a new food to, you know, ski boots are big and hard, so are helmets, and getting through that. And by the end, everybody up skiing on lifts. We had 3 students
Wow.
up skiing from mid-lift, mid-mountain, all the way down by our 4th week. So I will show you the pictures in a second. This spring, we're doing planning on bike riding skills, adaptive bikes for all of our students to access, and there's some pretty cool stuff out there that they have access to, as well as this summer, connecting with folks up at Zach's Place and Vermont Adaptive to do water sports, which will tie into the second cool thing we did. But here are some of our friends that skied. We had littles and talls people participate, and if I can do this, we might get to show you a video if that worked. That won't work. If it worked from home. Share this tab instead. There we go. I think I can open it bigger. It shut off the sound. You shouldn't be able to hear any of that. It's bigger. So there's one of our students, there's Mr. S, and who's our elementary principal here. One of our students is an elementary student at Windsor School, and I'm at the other end skiing with a pole in between us. And this is part why we didn't do Scotney outdoors. We needed the adaptive equipment. So we had several students learning this way. And then I'm going to go back to this tab, share this tab instead. Our other is, it took a lot of time, so let's see if I can share that tab. Just to show differentiation on the slopes. The student there is a middle school student, and some of our snowboarders actually come down in this video too. But just getting to walk was a huge thing. We eventually got to lift, but learning to stop, learning to go, it was great. And they all wanted to end. Neither did I personally. Skiing in the morning was awesome. And they are all planning on recruiting all their peers and making a bus next year to get them.
Who's the instructor and you?
Yes, so that I'm in the green coat. I stopped sharing everything. It wasn't what I intended. Yes, and
oh wow,
he was the only other individual who came with us who skied. Nat Thorne came one day too as well, which was fantastic. Let me just go back to my tab and get it back open. But yes, I've been an adaptive instructor for years prior and taught, and just got back up with working with them again. And they've worked with school groups. We're there with many other school groups, which was just, it was, again, the students showed a completely different side of them. So on the second part, we had a whole other group where at least 20, if not bordering on 25 students from each of our schools will have at least 4 weeks of swim lessons this year up at the CCBA.
Wow.
So they go Wednesday mornings. And from our young students who are in the buildings that needed adaptive swimming, as well as our older middle school and high school students. And as they keep going, we're going to continue that over the summer, and but the goal is to continue that rotation. One of the leading causes of accidental death with children on the spectrum is drowning, because the fascination of water. And things going fast. Those are And if we can get ahead of the water piece, even though landlocked state of Vermont, it's a big goal. And the instructors there are fantastic. You see some of our staff from different schools, at least one of our staff who's in the foreground of that picture is one of our staff members. So I got total buy-in from staff too to go swimming and do all the rest of it. So let's see. Things we put in place this year, you've heard before about the case manager model. Just this spring, we added a case management manager consultant to help take the pressure off some of our increasing paperwork demands, which will come clear in a few more slides. We have our second school-to-home coordinator, mental health clinician, which is primarily in the Mount Scottney district. We just in February, drum roll, hired someone to do HCRS clinician. They found us someone, and we had a rollover for our IDB grant money, which also pays for some other things that are pretty cool, but probably the most cool one happens to be that HCRS clinician. She already has a pretty full caseload, and she's splitting her time between this building and Heartland right now. That's what the biggest need was.
Rebecca's excited.
I mean, we've got a mental health, absolutely.
That makes two licensed mental health clinicians, one probationary who's getting hers, Julia who has hers, and now this third person, so. Great. Plus another one between Heartland and Weathersfield. And our goal is to keep building our capacity with our partners with HCRS. So when they called and said they had someone, I gave them a day to figure out the money, and I figured it out, which is pretty cool. And the goal is obviously to keep that person, including through summer academy. Higher Ability, which you might have formerly known as Voc Rehab in Vermont, is now called Higher Ability. Cool name.
Oh, wow.
Yep. We are increasing our student involvement with them and really making a concerted effort. And this ties into our transition plans a little bit later. But students who are in 10th grade and up are eligible. We have students who have internships, students who are exploring options for summer, some students who are doing some things that are tied to their flexible pathways. So that's something that you'll hear more about as we head into next year as well.
For our Higher Ability, those are our kids that really you can extend their school year up until age 21?
Up to 22.
22 in Vermont, okay.
And if there's a magical waiver if they're close and you still need their year to go on to go even further, to close out that school year. They are, and mostly the way they're wording it now is students who would be eligible for adult developmental services, or maybe like the kids on the fence, and which is nice because you never know. And it's great networking for those students. Summer Academy's coming up. I know it's one of the hats I wear. Brittany worked her magic again and got me an amazing spreadsheet with students. We decided to open it up to the lower 40th percentile because last year we invited a lot. We got a good amount of students, but we still have the capacity to take more. So those spreadsheets went out to all the schools. They just did the fine tuning, and this week we're sending out our paperwork to parents, which is going to be streamlined. We got it on Google form. We're not chasing paper. That was a source of stress last year. I can say that now laughing. The staff from all schools, again, we've got a ton of people coming back. It's great. It was not a problem getting staff, plus our community members. As you know, that's our ESSER funds, or no, ESSER 2 and 3. Plus, we applied for the Act 112 mental health grant, which takes us through the next 2 calendar years, which will help support a performing arts option in the afternoon, which will help round out having BTG in the afternoon, as well as Weathersfield has their STEAM camp as well. So try to give students more options for the afternoon to make a full day, which is pretty exciting. Also including our mental health partner and staff and supports, that's built into the grant, as well as our BTG partnership and a subsidy for their staff wages. So the grant was supposed to be with community partners. And we're trying to bridge literally the gap between BTG's hourly wage and what we're paying our support staff during the summer, so that it's the same. And that's part of this grant. Which helps with retention for staff who are working with all of our kids.
When does registration for that open?
The letters come out this week to parents. I just figured out where to ask about mail merging. It'll come out electronically for families to fill out saying, yes, their child's coming, and all of the required registration paperwork, one-stop shopping. Because it used to be 2, and we decided this year to go 1. So only students invited this first round. There may be the opportunity, like we have done in the past, for other students to be added in if there's room. Okay, so this is slightly the more unfun. You may have seen at some point on the front of the newspapers about Agency of Education's monitoring of some of our local districts. So we thought it would be a good idea to share with you where we're at. We're in really good company. So we are in the targeted level for monitoring, and that is, there's cyclical, which happens every 3 years, which everybody goes through. Selective, which we kind of were participating in, was very short window, and then we moved right to targeted. I would like to put out there are 39 SUs in targeting. That's a hefty bet. Why? Our metrics have changed. The 2 areas that we are not in compliance on was not because of gross negligence errors, anything of that matter. I want to put that out there. Our metrics now for initial evaluation timelines are 100%. We have to be 100% on time for everything. That's a silence in the room. That's hard. We used to have it vacillated in my career between like a 96 or 97%, because we're human. Sometimes someone misses a day. A snowstorm happens, a blizzard, whatever. We did have on our first submission for selective, this is why we got bumped to targeted, we had a corrupted spreadsheet. 2 things. The rule with the AOE is what you turn in is your responsibility. We did it. The AOE has a new system for uploading things. I now screenshot things and double check 10,000 times. It had to do with, we needed Microsoft Office to function. We had it to do, we converted things. By the time it got to them, our columns didn't line up. Drop-down menu wasn't right. None of our students have a birthday in 1966. Those things happened, not kidding. And I'm not making light of it. In reality, we had 2 late evaluations due to parent, which we're allowed to have, that we had the paperwork for, but because of what we turned in, it didn't matter. And we've talked to the AOE. I've had really good conversations with them, including one that stated that we didn't have to do a chunk of the beginning of the targeted paperwork coming in because ours was a data entry spreadsheet issue. We are now making sure, and I'll show you in the next slides of what we're doing. The second part also requires 100% compliance. We can't have anything wrong on a 13+ question student transition plan, which is a plan that starts at age 16 to go to the student till they graduate, of how we're working with interagencies, what are their goals, everything else. The states tweaked that plan, major overhaul 2 years ago, and we are one of many districts still working on what exactly it is that we're submitting. Some of it is highly subjective. We have gone to all of the trainings for the past 2 years, including just this past week. 3 of the core people working on that met with the AOE to go over all of our stuff to see if it's going to pass. We are reaching out, we are doing everything we can. The folks doing the transition plans, it's a lot of work. Wait, I like to call people. Elizabeth's got her hand up.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I've got a couple of questions about this number 2. How many students are we talking about? And I can't imagine they're all in Windsor High School. They're in our supervisory union.
Correct.
So how does it work with the other district, the other placements? And how far reaching is the transition plan? Those are my questions.
Good, really good question. So we have to resubmit 31 plans because for each one that didn't pass, we have to resubmit that one and another one. And for lots of reasons, we're really unclear on why some passed and some didn't, which are almost identical. That has been some of the feedback.
So you have to resubmit 31 plans. So you really have to resubmit 62 plans?
No, 31 total.
So, but that's an odd number.
Right.
But you just said that you had to do 2 per.
It was because of someone graduating, and so we had, at least that was a number given to me. There was a reason why we had 1 more, because we were at 13%. That's our number, which was visibly low. The second, and yes, so anything that has our SU on it, we're responsible for, no matter what school it comes from, which means, and I'll shout out to Kathy Mack, who is our out-of-district coordinator, is making sure that all of those are reviewed. We have now internal process, what I can show you next couple of slides that show you what internal procedures we put in place. It's hard because we don't necessarily case manage those students.
And that is really complicated.
Mhm.
I mean,
Welcome to my world.
I sit here, it is overwhelming, and some of it sometimes seems pretty impossible. And it's a lot of back and forth with other places who may have a different understanding of what should go into that, who may not necessarily have gone to state training because they may be a independent school. They may be a school that is one we actually send students to on IEP. So, but we're still the ones responsible. And the third one was how far our transition plans are post secondary. So we have to have involvement, or at least offer and document that families will go with or not, our outside agencies, HCRS, Higher Ability, Easter Seals, other agencies. And that is one of the reasons why we're really trying to make sure that like Higher Ability is involved, or developmental services through HCRS, those agencies. So that is a big piece. And it's really to plan for what do you need in order to transition to adulthood, whether that means post, going to college, going to a bridge to school to work program, which there are many options now. There's some amazing college opportunities for individuals with a range of abilities that didn't exist 10 years ago. It's pretty cool. We're building our capacity for understanding all of those, as well as going to work. And so all of those have to be included within those plans. They're well-intentioned. It's just, as I said, it's pretty subjective.
Thank you.
So, so you're saying that the AOE changed their way of, this was the first year that they've made that change, or did they change a year ago or 2 years ago?
The transition plans changed a couple of years ago significantly.
Okay.
And at least 2, and we had a rolling understanding. The metric of 100% compliance is what has definitely changed the game. And the 100% compliance has been in place for the evaluations for the past 2 years. And again, from what I understand from my fellow special ed directors and from the AOE, these 2 are the most, there's 13 indicators. These 2 are the most that we're all in the same spot for. And it's not a place I like. Yeah, that gathered from my demeanor, I don't like this. So things we're doing, transition plans, won't read the whole thing, but we have some checks and balances within our system, peer reviewing, from the high school case managers to Sabrina Brown, who's the Assistant Special Student Support Services Director, and Kathy Mack, who's our out-of-district coordinator, have been the closest working on this. And we decided to sort of divide and conquer. They're the experts, our high school team, and then working on making sure that cohesively they all know what they're doing on every one of those plans. There's at least 3 times where eyes are on those plans. And now we have the AOE working with us to help. They want to have, the AOE is really trying to supply the help is a little bit different than before when we turned things in and we waited for months to get feedback and didn't know.
Do they have a new director yet?
No. No, that's replaced Jackie Kelleher, a special ed person. You know, which one of the Chris's? One of the Chris's is interim. And then I think they've named the former interim director for the AOE to replace Dan French. I believe I read that, but we should get, their turnover there has been really high. So.
Elizabeth?
I want to wait and see if anybody else has any other questions first.
Okay.
Then I wanna go.
I was just gonna ask, do you think that this process will, in some way, sort of create a better outcome for students that are identified as they're leaving the school system and going into the world?
I do think that the attention on the plans will. The way we're getting to it is stressful, and I'm not sure how measurable that will be. I think it's the intention is there, the scrutiny, and somewhat inconsistent subjectiveness behind it makes that kind of hard. It makes it hard. And I didn't mention before that this is coming from Office of Special Education, OSEP from the feds, to the state, to us. And because Vermont's always done a really good job, that's why our compliance indicators are so high. So,
Along with these new, very, very lofty, perfect, the expectation of perfection in your metrics. Has the AOE provided any sort of compliance tools or recommendations or, just a way to get?
we do
to
have
that
certain
perfect-
steps that we meet monthly now.
Okay.
Fishbone diagrams and analysis and protocols we have done in triplicate. I also screenshot those and make sure someone's standing next to me as I upload them. I kid you not, because of their systems. Yes. And some of that has actually helped us make sure that we've not missed spots.
Yep.
We have really good procedures in place. On the next one, due dates, the staff now laugh and administration, because I send things out in rainbow colors to address things, to address timelines. We really do nail our timelines. I mean, sometimes they get a little close, but our timelines are tight, our paperwork's getting out, the case management models put that in. But it made us go back and look, and we thought about some things that we might change for next year. And that's been useful, especially as we look at our MTSS systems to our child find systems. And how frequently we're meeting. It's a lot, 100%. And this is so we're bringing this to you, is that if we end up next year, if we miss by one day, we miss the 100%. And which could mean we're in the targeted level 3, which is the same as the recent, that's more high profile, letters on websites, letters on everything else. And I wanted to, we talked about this as an administration team, being very transparent. We're going to also share this with parents, where we are, what we're doing, how kids are getting services. We are, knock on something, we are really solid on that. We don't have any sort of issue with how we provide services or anything like that. And this is about data and filling out paperwork, not about students getting their services and what they need. But it does, on my end, when you see that, or when things have to go public, it could have a negative reflection, and that's, as you know, not what I want.
My impression of this is that it's a pretty lofty bureaucratic goal that is pushing some process improvement, which is good, but I understand where you're coming from in that.
Is this related also to what Springfield is?
Yeah. It's exactly related to, if we don't meet the 2 indicators to 100% compliance, we will be in the same targeted level 3 as Springfield, as well as many of us. I don't think we've ever seen this many, 39 SUs out of how many? I can't remember,
64?
64, yeah.
are in this level, never mind selective. On the fun part I just discovered today, we will be in cyclical as well next year. We're due for our 3-year. So,
It's gonna be a good year.
it's gonna, but on the, with that though, we have made sure for all of our due dates and all of our other indicators, we're making sure that we're in compliance there, because I believe that what would happen if we would get state technical assistance, they'll look at everything. And we want, and which is good. I mean, we need the feedback and we always can improve.
Yep.
But I didn't want any cobwebs out there that we might not know about ahead of time.
Sure.
So, yes, so, any other questions? I think that was my, yeah, that's definitely.
I'd like to quickly ask, go ahead, Elizabeth, you were waiting.
Go ahead.
If in any way you think that there is a need for funding for summer training of special ed teachers, please let us know. And it might be helpful to actually come up with some money to pay teachers to take the training. That usually is a pretty important carrot for teachers.
And that's super helpful. We will be turning in everything by June 1st, our monitoring ends, May 17th, all the stuff has to be dated by, especially the due dates. And that's helpful to hear, because there's some still unknowns. My goal is that we are out of that and we just have cyclical next year, and which is always fun anyway. But
long-term
planning.
They think the fact that, okay, we need this skill within our special educators. Let's, you know, that's a budget issue. To have, for an example, 2 or 3 weeks in which teachers will get a stipend and training that they need. This is not something that's gonna go away.
No, it's not, and one of the things I'm thankful for is that we split this year for the case manager model, because if all of our staff were involved to the minutia that our case managers are, with this, we would probably be dealing with a much different stress level. And that is one reason why we brought on the case manager consultant, to help take some off them, the case managers, because they were feeling, because that's the stuff they do, it's paperwork and timelines. So, and inadvertently, you've supported that budget-wise, we had it in there, but we needed to do that.
I just have for my own edification question, and that is, so if you're starting at grade 10 on the transition plan, does the transition plan go into effect right away? And if that's the case, then what about the grade 11? Is the transition plan, if the transition plan's timeframe is beyond leaving the school, what about the year over year?
We have to update it every year. It's part of the IEP.
That's it.
And it used to be age 14, and for some of our students, we're unofficially starting younger because of their complex needs. It's vacillated between age 14 to 16, but yes, every year it's updated. And it should be thoroughly updated each year. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Items for discussion.
I
Is
have
that it?
questions about that. Can I ask
Sure.
a question?
Yes, go ahead.
So there was 264 kids that were at the IEPs. A lot of those kids were under the age of 5th grade. I mean, there was definitely some. Is that like normal, or is there like a reason why? Do they grow out of them? The other question is, are these all educational IEPs, or is there some behavioral IEPs in that? And then, I don't know if you can tell or have the breakdown of it, but you say there's 25 kids in 2nd grade that have IEPs, and there's 12 of them from West Windsor. You know, that's the majority of the class. Like, that is a big issue, right, as in the whole scheme of things, because that's one school that has all of them. I don't know if you can touch base about that, or.
I don't have that data with me. I can
That's
tell
fine.
you. So the bubble, it is not unusual to have more students at the elementary to early middle school level because of early identification.
Right.
And that many students, because of the intervention, and they learn the skills, they close the gap. Some of it is just the gift of time.
all of that, that they do test out of special education. So that isn't unusual. We do have an exceptional bubble in there. The other are IEPs. We do have it broken down by students sometimes have multiple disabilities noted, like ADHD and a specific learning disability in reading, for example. So all our IEPs cover all the 13 categories of special education, which is highly individualized. And I don't have the numbers right now, I can tell you anecdotally, we are slowly reducing the number of students identified solely under an emotional disturbance, for example. And we're doing a better job finding other reasons why students are struggling, whether it's academic, speech and language, attention, things, or autism. Those are those bigger categories. And the other by school, we do look for trends in each building, really not by classroom, because sometimes it's just the way the class list ended up. But we do look for those trends within schools. We have fairly statistically broken up fairly equally between 3 schools. It's hard to pull, for example, data from Albert Bridge because it's such a small school.
No, I was just using them as an example.
Yeah, but it's true.
Right.
And it's one of the reasons we can't necessarily disclose all that because of the population of kiddos or the number of students. But it is something the state looks at for any disproportional data on identified populations or trends over time.
Right, like if there's 12 kids in the classroom, 6 of them can't read and they need to be on an IEP, right?
Yeah, which is part of our multi-tiered systems of supports, why we have a lot to get before we get to that part.
No, I didn't know if it had something to do with like COVID or if it had something to do with like an opioid epidemic, and now the grandparents, a lot of these kids are, so I was just trying.
Yeah, it's hard to pin down, especially with the younger kids. There was an impact of COVID. We definitely have seen that. But I think we have a lot of structures and supports in place before students get to IEPs that have, with our interventionists and double dosing in classrooms, for example, that have helped that. Well,
okay.
I did want to just ask one more question quickly, and that is, I know that at some point you were looking at trying to bring back students that were placed outside of the district, and I was just wondering, how is that going?
right now we have 8 students placed out, which is significant. I think last year was 11. There's a doing off the top of my head now.
That's really low.
Yeah. We have very few. And I can say without, we have students who have come back and reintegrated very successfully this year. It's, it continues to happen throughout the year, which is pretty cool. So
Obviously, you have
We'll always
services in
have
place
some,
to allow them to transition, so that sounds pretty awesome.
And I will say, we have students that it is the right thing to do for a little bit to get the right sports. So there's some ebb and flow with that. I don't see us going too far beyond an 8 to a 10 number. Just knowing who we have, knowing what students need, but which is still a super low number for a district our size, or SU our size.
Seem to be losing people here.
Thank you,
Okay.
Kate. Right.
Items for discussion. I'm going to ask Davis to set a clock at 15 minutes. We've kind of overrun for a couple different things. So, and we'll try to keep this going. Starting at the bottom, C15. Go. Student conduct and discipline. This is our 3rd reading. I'd like to say, I've read it over again. There is stuff that's missing regarding violent incidences, but I don't think we should add any of that because the state is planning on clarifying that piece because it is very vague. Does anyone have anything else regarding this
I
policy?
think that was completed, changed. I had asked, I think, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, line 6, where it says under policy, to add guardian. That was probably done. This is an old copy I have.
Yeah, accepted by student, staff, and guardians.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, that was taken care of. Okay.
This is definitely one of those policy heavy requirements, so. Time to get to work, Christine.
Should we move to adopt it?
Yes.
Aye.
Oh, wait, but we have to wait till the next part of the meeting. Okay. I'm not used to that.
Student conduct and discipline.
Okay. Oh, can we, would it be all right if we did the, I have to go in just a minute. Would it be all right if we did the resolution about, negotiating Christine's?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, I'm gonna pause the timer.
Thank you, Davis. So we have a resolution and in which has.
So we need to vote to rescind the previous resolution, which names Amy as, contract negotiator for the superintendent contract. We have to vote on that, and then we have to have a proposed new resolution.
Okay.
I'm sorry, which appoints you as the SU board chair.
Okay.
To negotiate the superintendent contract.
Nancy?
So moved to rescind the initial resolution.
The second.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll do a roll call. Colleen?
Aye.
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 Jamie?
Was that aye? Aye.
Nancy?
Aye. Can't hear you.
Jamie, did you?
Aye.
Rebecca?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
And I am an aye.
Hey, you forgot me.
Cold.
Aye.
I'm trying to mix it up. It's really hard.
If you call me Nicole, I'm gonna forget that
I
you're
know.
calling on me.
So
You're trying to leave me.
Oh, you have the language, so I'll happily second you.
Well, never mind.
I move that we resolve to appoint Bill Yates, as our, SU board representative to negotiate the contract of our new superintendent.
Seconded.
roll call. Well, any discussion? Roll call. Nicole?
Aye.
Oh.
He's
Rebecca?
calling me Nicole.
Nicole?
Nikki. You gotta call it
Nikki?
Nikki.
Nicole.
That's what they were.
Yeah, but I don't know how to respond to Nicole. Nobody's ever called me Nicole.
My work wife is Nicole. So that's.
Yeah, I got marked absent in school when teachers called me Nicole because I didn't respond.
Davis?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
Colleen?
Sorry.
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Oh, she can't hear us.
And we just lost that.
Nancy?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Thank you. And I am an aye. Did I miss anybody?
Me.
Elizabeth?
Aye. It's okay. I request that, that be executed as quickly as possible because it wasn't done, because of a series of circumstances.
Okay.
But our new superintendent needs a contract.
Yes, he does.
That'd be good.
Thank you. No, I've got to go because I have a sick boy who needs to see me before he goes to sleep.
Go ahead.
I'm leaving early in the morning, so. Are we still, how many do we need for a quorum? 7? Yep, we still have a quorum.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, okay.
We had a student records.
Time is going.
Okay, is that the, okay, super. I just wanted to let you know, it's 7 years. You asked last time.
Yes,
So it's 7 years and then transcripts forever.
right, by law, yeah.
So we keep them for, Lori says she keeps them for 8, just in case.
Okay.
The law says 7 years.
Do we need that in policy somewhere?
I think it's law somewhere. So I think we're covered, but.
Okay. I asked that because this policy as it's written stipulates that this policy will control the destruction of records.
Yeah.
Is this the third reading I take it?
Bye for now, everyone. Bye.
Let's do it.
Yes, this
Yeah,
is
this
the
is
third
the
reading.
third reading.
I would love there to be something in here that says, something stating that.
Just right after 7 years.
No, not necessarily 7 years, but in compliance with state records law.
Okay.
Just
Yep.
in a different setting, had this very long discussion about liability. And if it's within a policy and someone tries to sue the SU or district or any of the districts, you can point to that policy and say, we are following this policy, and this says that we will follow, that timeline is mentioned. David?
So it doesn't specifically mention the federal and state statutes, but it does say under the administrative responsibilities, the procedures shall comply with all federal and state laws and regulations governing access and collection, maintenance, disclosure, destruction of education records. So perhaps not as specifically as you would like, but it does nod to that.
Okay, good. Thank you. I am happy with that. Especially if the policy lays that out very clearly with the stating the law in the years and so forth. I think that's good enough. Time-wise, homeless student policy.
So that one we did update with definitions. That was what we were asked to do last time.
So I just want to go, I'm sorry, so we've adopted it.
We're gonna, under items for
Under
action.
Items
Yeah.
for action, okay. Good.
So this one, Katie worked on the homeless student policy with Lori. We've got definitions in there, and then we've linked some statute for your,
Yeah, I see the definition.
yeah.
Just in case, I think we talked at one meeting about using the word homeless or underhoused or something. I mean, McKinney-Vento has been very clear, we have to use the term homeless.
Right.
Even though in effect, when we talk to families, we don't tend to use that term, underhoused, interim housing, whatever, that is much more inclusive and sensitive to individual situations. I do not have a crystal ball, but it wouldn't be unlikely that within some point when this policy is in effect, that some definitions change. I figured putting the links in there would be helpful. Plus any other changes that happen. Lots of housing stuff is happening right now within the state level, that I could see that could eventually trickle down or up, whichever way you want to think about it. So.
So they're not even accepting housing insecure. Okay.
In terms of what McKinney-Vento says, it still says homeless, even though we use much kinder terms. And actually much more accurate. Housing insecure is accurate in terms of, if you think of all the different definitions we have.
Right.
Especially doubling up is probably our most common one that we have. It's much more accurate, but that's not, the law hasn't caught up to that yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I request that we go to another one that Angie needs approved sooner rather than later?
Sure.
To go out of order. It's E1, Title I, Part A, Parent and Family Engagement.
Yes.
That's correct, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, all the contracts.
So I just want to go back again. We are adopting also housing. Okay. So E1 we're going.
Yeah, E1 is the next one.
Yeah.
Getting me off my game.
Sorry, it's
That's
just she
quite
needs
all
it,
right.
she needs that one.
We need it actually to be in compliance.
Yes.
So.
So let's get
I'll need to get that one
Yes.
My last reading, it was very boilerplate, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure we could really make any changes to this, and not really mess something up.
Right.
So,
Our recommendation would be to accept it as is.
yes.
Can I make one? There's no blanks we're supposed to fill in it. We did all that, right?
There's
some bolding that could be fixed in the first paragraph, but I'm willing to accept it with that.
Bolding,
The bolding.
The district's parentheses is in bold. The S in the parentheses are in
Oh, I
bold.
see that, I see that. Okay, we can fix that.
Sorry.
Good eyes, Nikki. Wow.
Really?
Okay.
Not so good on the words part, good on the visual.
That's okay. Bold, yep.
Davis, how we doing?
We have just about 7 minutes left.
Okay.
Cruising.
We're gonna do something else.
So, the next one was proficiency-based graduation requirements. And I'm gonna make the decision that this is the last one we're gonna discuss tonight.
Okay.
I'm very happy with this. Understanding, of course, that the amount of work the SU has to do to accomplish this is immense.
Yep.
And
We've been talking about that, right, Nancy?
yeah.
And ongoing.
And ongoing, but I think this sends a really clear message about what our goals are. Yes, Rebecca?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because I know that we've talked about how this is gradually progressing, and I'm just wondering if we can probably create or look at a timeline so that when we speak about it next, we can say, okay, this is where we are with our PB.
They're called PBGR.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
kind of to give us, I mean, I know that it's a work in progress, but I'd like to be able to look back and say, oh, okay, it's really come forth at least. Okay, thank you.
And this is another area in which, maybe not this summer, but some summer ahead to set aside some funding for certain teachers to
Yeah.
come in.
We
and
actually
work with
talked
administration.
about that for this summer, but
Yes.
we don't have the funds.
Right.
When we, actually, my stipend line.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so we pay teachers $30 an hour per the contract to come in and do summer work.
Yeah.
So,
That's why I said possibly not this summer, but in future.
Well, we'd like to get.
we
some
have
of
to
it
do
done.
some
We
this
have to do
summer,
some
so
this
we're
summer.
trying to figure out our priorities so we can stay within that budget.
Can you, I mean, is it possible to create some sort of a template where, because I agree with you, Angie, we need to jump on it and, not next summer. And so kind of, look at, what we're offering the teachers and hopefully what goals we hope to accomplish, for this. I mean, because I think that would be also helpful to just give us some sort of a timeline on what's going on.
Of course, my hope is that the state would step up, but.
They are doing a lot
They are.
right now, so that, we're waiting for that work to be done by the end of the school year.
That's good.
Which will help guide
Where they're
us.
aligning, the process they're using to align the state's portrait of a graduate with the proficiencies in the content areas would be as the similar process that we'll use for our portrait of graduate so that's good. I mean, like the process is done. And then they have examples that they can see, so that really helps.
And I think I've seen the state is doing more or talking more about portrait of a graduate.
They are. Yeah.
Okay, I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's on the front burner. I'm
It's on, yeah.
very
Yeah.
excited.
And we are ahead on that.
I know, but that's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's move forward, continue with
Yeah,
that.
I was reading some legislative, and I'm like, portrait of a graduate. like,
Yeah, right, I know, I saw it also. I said, okay. Yep.
Okay, items for action. We finished the negotiating piece.
So if you're ready, Bill, if you are able to add E1 to items for action, if it's ready to be passed.
I would make the motion that we approve in a vote, Title I, Part A, Parent and Family Engagement, C13, Homeless Student Policies, C1, Student Records, and C15, Student Conduct and Discipline Policies.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay. See who we have left here. Colleen,
Aye.
Beth? Well, excuse me, is there any discussion on this before we vote?
Beth?
Nancy?
I think I've got 3 of the 4. I have E1, C15, C1. What am I missing?
C13.
C13. Okay. Okay, that's all.
And E1, Title I. Okay. Beth? Anne Marie? Mark?
Aye.
Me?
What was the name?
Nancy?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Becca? Nikki? Davis? And I am an aye. Miss anybody? She was the first. Yeah, she was top of my list. Okay. We have a resignation.
Yes, I did propose my agenda. Apologize. Yes, we've received a resignation from Rachel Eisenberg, who is a first-year teacher with us who will not be returning next year. We'll have a couple more at the next meeting that we just recently received. I didn't put out letters with.
We can't understand what's being said.
I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice tonight. Talked too much before. We have a resignation from Rachel Eisenberg, who is one of our ACE classroom teachers who will not be returning next year. And I just mentioned that we'll have a few others that we've had some folks come in for resignations leading up that we'll bring to the board next time when we meet in April.
How do we do with just,
I know, we're starting our interviews today.
Oh,
and they were
good.
promising.
Okay.
We're jumping on it, so hopeful,
Good.
optimistic.
Always hopeful. Yeah, absolutely.
Do I, a motion to accept the resignation and wish her the best of luck in her future endeavors.
Second.
And back to my list. Rebecca?
Aye.
Nikki?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
And Colleen?
Aye. We lost your voice.
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Awfully close to losing a quorum.
Yeah.
Um,
Time to wrap it up.
Setting next agenda, we have,
So I've got admin report, which will include an update on the students on school boards. That's being looked at the local
Yeah.
So we'll bring that back. Andy's got a curriculum and instruction report next month. Brittany's got a data report. Larry's got a quarterly financial report.
And we have 4 policies?
Three policies. One item for discussion, which will be the employees bringing their children.
Yep.
And then I've got C22 as a first read, A22 as a second read, and D1 as a third read.
And we'll try to keep that list to a couple policies.
Yeah.
This was because we missed a meeting too.
Yeah.
Like, it's got-
Yeah.
Well, we can space out in our plan, because we did do like 1 a month for the year, which then catches up with us.
Yeah, it does.
So we'll spread those out.
Do we need an executive session? Okay, I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.